So I'm going to try a series of videos, a little more long form, in talking about the Karen Read case because I know a lot about it. I've been on it since over a year now. Last July and August, I started communicating with someone that was with the defense. And I feel that the way that I was trying to do these videos, it's not breaking through for various reasons. But one of the things that you have to look for, and again, there are some people that they don't want the truth. But if you're on the fence or you're really wondering what happened, something really significant just happened with the Karen Read case. And that is, and I'm going to call out some people. I'm not going to attack them. I'm not going to go after them. But there are people on this platform that Karen Read basically gave an on the record, her first interview after the trial, and said something really important and very compelling, and there are people that aren't even talking about it. So, and there's nothing, I don't understand why they're not talking about it. I mean, I think I know why people aren't talking about it, is because they don't want to, it ruins the narrative that they've helped create. And I'm not going to attack them, but there are people on TikTok, Dave Culhane and this nurse Kim, they seem like nice people. They cover every element of the case. Why are they not talking about the fact that Karen Read, and I posted the video on this page, she had dinner with two people from a Boston radio station, WEEI, and apparently there's a girl on there, Courtney, and she works with Greg Hill. And by the way, I know Greg Hill. I've known Greg Hill for 20 years. I like Greg Hill. There's nothing to get. I'm not attacking them, not attacking anybody. But Karen Read reached out to them and had an on-the-record dinner. Now, sometimes, most of the time, and I covered the case, I was at the courthouse. Many times people say, I can talk to you, but I can't talk to you on the record. I've covered a lot of different people. I still am right now covering people where they say, I'll give you info, but I can't go on the record with it. And then you could use it for background or just to give you a better understanding of something. But she went on the record with them. And by the way, she will be subpoenaed for that. But this is really significant. And I want to be very clear. I'm not attacking Dave Culhane and this nurse Kim. They seem to be nice people. They seem to but how do you not talk about that? And why aren't they discussing it? But I've noticed the people that want to appeal to the free Karen Read people, they're not talking about it. So what's so significant? Now I posted the video on my TikTok page. But what's so significant, and Karen Read, keep in mind, she reached out to them. And she started off by saying, do you guys know much about the case? And, the girl, Courtney, I guess, that works with Greg Hill on EEI, she was like, yeah, kind of, I've been following it. I think someone put them in touch because she's a supporter. But at the dinner, Karen Read said, you can say this on the radio, and I want to clear this up. And what she said was that there's a bad rumor on the internet that John was investigating Colin Albert for drug dealing, the 17-year-old kid who was his neighbor, and he was investigating him, and there was really bad blood. And Karen Read told these two people from EEI having dinner, apparently just this past weekend, that that's not true. Now, no one is talking about that. I'll tell you why that is so significant, is because 1 year ago, it was Karen Read that framed the whole story. You can't have the conspiracy without that aspect that John O'Keefe, here was the story. John O'Keefe started sniffing around he's a Boston police officer, drug dealing in Canton, and he was getting too close, and they had to send a message, and he was set up, and he walked into a trap, and when he walked in the door, 17-year-old Colin Albert, his neighbor, boom, punched him, and they started fighting, and then his uncle, Brian Albert, Boston police officer, and Brian Higgins, the three of them, and the dog, and things got out of hand, and John O'Keefe was drunk, and they killed him and threw him out on the front lawn. So she just removed, so here's the thing, and there were people trying to fill in the blank for Karen Read, saying, well, she wouldn't know what he was involved in. Okay, then here's what Karen Read could have said at the dinner with EEI. She could have said, I can't talk about any witnesses. And they would have said, fine. She could have said, well, I don't know about that. But that's not what happened. Like, the people defending her, they want to change what happened. They won't deal with what happened. Karen Read said, I can't talk about the case. I've dealt with people like that. She didn't say that. She said, ask me anything you want about the case. Of course she knows more about the case. She invented the story in the case. But that aside, she didn't say, I can't discuss the witnesses. I can't discuss Colin Albert. She didn't say that. She said, you say on the radio that he wasn't investigating it and there was no bad blood. Now, let me back up for a moment. In closing arguments, the defense, Karen Read's lawyers, they never mentioned Colin Albert. He was 17 years old. In the trial, the Karen Read trial, it was proven that he never crossed paths with John O'Keefe. Colin was at the house and then left. John O'Keefe was on his way. He did arrive outside. He just never went inside the house. So their paths never crossed. Never inside the house, not in the driveway. By the time John O'Keefe was arriving, Colin was gone. So, but here's the thing. That was the precipice of the entire attack. If you remove, don't you see what Karen Read is saying? He wasn't investigating Colin for being a drug dealer and these ridiculous rumors. Yeah, they were dealing it out of his father's place. By the way, Chris Albert, his father, John O'Keefe was in there that day getting pizza with his nephew. They said, let's hook up later tonight. That's why Chris Albert texted him, get over here, like, we're here. There are people that want to meet you. Let's have fun. But let me go back. If you remove the fact that Colin Albert, number one, he wasn't in the house, but just let's take away Karen Read said, and made sure EI repeated it, that he was not investigating Colin Albert for drug dealing, then you've just removed the motive of, if you take that out, then why would Colin Albert punch John O'Keefe? Now, there was someone that posted, motive is only known to the killer. That's totally false. In every homicide, and I've covered homicides, I'm with police every night. Last year, when I was pitched this case, hey, you should do this, you should go into it, I couldn't get past motive. Here's what I was told, as I said. He walked in the house, it was a trap, he was sniffing around, they had to teach him a lesson. Colin punched him. They tumbled to the basement, the dog's down there, Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, they kill him, throw him on the lawn. And then the next morning, Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts brainwashed Karen Read into thinking that not only had she hit him, but hit him right where they left the body. That's what I was told last August. I didn't believe it then. I certainly don't believe it now, after meeting some of the different witnesses and sitting through the trial. But let me just come back. In every homicide investigation, they look for motive, means, and opportunity. Motive, means, and opportunity. Did someone have the means to take someone out? Maybe a gun or a knife or whatever it may be. In this case, an SUV. Did they have the opportunity to do it? Right? Think O.J. Simpson. He had means, the knife. He had opportunity. He stuck up on his ex-wife and Ron Goldman and then made his escape. And then motive. I mean, it just doesn't happen. People don't just randomly, I think we're just going to kill somebody tonight. With 11 people in a house, and several of the people are friendly with the guy, John O'Keefe. Listen, it doesn't make any sense. There would have been such a racket. That number of people can't keep a conspiracy. But I'm going to do another video on this. But I want to be very clear. So I'm not attacking other people on TikTok. I mean, there is someone on TikTok who's ridiculous. She lives in a housing project in Chicago. She just throws anything out. But I want to try to talk with some of the normal people. Ask those people, how come you're not talking about it? This is significant. And I'm not jealous of Greg Hill and his sidekick Courtney that got it. Karen Read did an